Hey everyone, thank you and welcome to another edition of the How to Demo TELUS Business Connect. Hey, this time we're going to be talking about the soft phone application, or otherwise known the desktop application, and we're going to take a look at the desktop application running on my PC here and show you some of the best ways to use this. Now, first off, the adoption of cloud services among small and medium businesses, SMBs, continues to rise, according to recent studies published by the Market Research Consulting Group. And customers are migrating applications to the cloud, including email, CRM applications, and telephony systems, among others. And internet speeds have made rapid improvements, allowing us to deliver many services via cloud that weren't possible before. Users expect software to be easy to use and work on any device, anywhere they are. Desk phone is a relatively pricey piece of hardware that requires Cat5 or greater to be installed directly to cubicles, typically. And furthermore, old end-of-life phone systems lack the ability to extend unified communication and their phone capabilities to other endpoints, such as computers, smartphones, workstations, or even tablets. Now, really, to open a dialogue around the opportunities that soft phone applications bring to the table, we strongly suggest asking the following questions. So, number one, what are you hearing from your office personnel around your existing communication system? I'll say that again. What are you hearing from your office personnel around your existing communication system? And what has changed in your business over the past year that is affecting your existing phone system? That's what has changed in your business over the past year that is affecting your existing phone system. All right, so let's move over to a demo of the desktop application, and we're going to cover a few things. So let's get started right away. All right, so let's drop the web page here, and we'll take a look at the desktop application. Now, I have the desktop application running with the HUD, or heads-up display, and typically this is going to be used anywhere you need that presence indication of when somebody's available, when somebody's not available. To turn the HUD on and off, essentially it's just the HUD button at the top of the screen, and there's a bunch of other buttons. I'll go through those really quickly. The HUD button will show you the HUD built into the app, and then you can undock it by hitting the undock button to move the HUD or heads-up display to its own standalone window. And this is really important because you can make the desktop application again just by hitting the telephone button and go back to the dial pad, so you can still use it for your messaging, for texting, and video and audio conferencing and faxing, and actually launching the GLIP application or what we call team collaboration. Now, that's going to allow us to use the application and have calls inbound, outbound, and I'm going to do some demonstrations on inbound, outbound calls. I'm going to call my buddy James and see if he answers the phone. So we'll just dial him up really quickly here, and of course you can hear his phone ringing in the background here, and he answers the phone. And now, hey, we're in an active call with me, course. And again, we can do a number of things very similar to the mobile application. Things like putting calls on record, hitting the mute, changing your audio device if you wish. You can add additional people by pressing the plus sign. I encourage you to give that a try. Call flip will the flip button will show you the custom area or the fixed number that's already in play. Also allowing you to use the park function. But the park button itself will also show you when you press park. It's going to show you what's available to you. So I've got 3 hold positions plus the public, which is that *8 or orbit function. Those hold keys can also be programmed inside the HUD as well. So I've got a bunch of other ones. So I can put a call, for example, on park 1, and I can just press the park button, and that puts the call on park immediately. And I see that call from James is sitting on park. Anybody with that position, of course, or that key programmed on their phone has the ability to pick up that call, and I can pick it up as well by just hovering over the pickup button and hitting pickup, and brings that call back to me as an active call. So I've got that ability to make and receive those calls. So we'll just hang up on that call. And now, when you have the presence, some people say, "Well, what do you see when somebody's on the phone? When you're not actually calling them." Well, we're gonna make a quick phone call here from James's phone, and we'll see what happens. So he's going to make an outbound call and have this outbound call dial out. And yeah, if there's a name tied to it, yeah, there's going to be a name tied to it. There is actual phone number here. But nice thing about this is that I have the ability, because I'm running this the desktop application, I have full control over all the features and functions. He happens to be one of my subordinates, and I can actually monitor his phone calls. And he's done that call now, so I can hang up on that phone. I'm going to make one more phone call out of this. There we go. Let him make that call outbound. And you'll notice that over top of the name, I get the monitor button as well. I can actually hit monitor and listen in. So now I'm actually listening in to his call. And have the ability to jump in and whisper to him. I can barge into that call, take a three-party call, or I can take over and drop James off completely, and have that ability. So all that during that entire time, he did not even hear that I was on that call. So that's pretty slick, inbound and outbound. That's one of the features that are available. One of the things that really, again, very similar to the mobile application is the messaging, and inside messaging you have that consolidated one location, kind of suits for all of the messaging that I have, my voicemails, all of my faxes, as well as all of my texts. And it's the same format. PDF comes down in a PDF. I can view, save. I can actually forward that off to somebody else if I want. I can flag them, of course, block that phone number, or even just delete the fax. But I can look at that vet certificate that I had for my horse, and that will pop up in a PDF, and there it is. There's that PDF of my horse certificate. So that's viewing that fax and sending the fax outbound as well allows me to compose by using one of the buttons down at the bottom here. So you have a bunch of buttons at the top and a bunch of buttons at the bottom that have different functions. Typically, what you're going to use the ones at the top for are things like the phone, the HUD itself, your contacts, and they're the quick functions inside the most common things. Your Join Now function, which you have to turn on, and inside the settings, I'll show you that in a few minutes. Of course, your call logs and your Join Now. Your favorites, and these are the people you call the most, and you've designated as favorites with stars, and of course your messaging. At the bottom, you have the ability to go into settings, and the settings we'll look at in a minute, and show you some of the things you can do in there. But you've also got the ability to go into GLIP. I'll just minimize that for a second. You've got the ability to go into GLIP or team collaboration, which is available now. Of course, the faxing capability, and I'll touch on that in a second. The audio conferencing, video conferencing, and of course, composing a brand new text. So let's look at faxing real quick. We'll finish up with faxing, and this allows us to build essentially, put any phone number in here that we want to send this fax to, adjust that cover page. You can select different cover pages if you want, just by clicking on that button, putting your name, company, and a note. This, of course, will build an automatic cover page, which is pretty slick. And then you can attach any diagrams or documents, JPEGs, anything that's viewable can be added into here. You can also use a scan source. This scan source is set up in your settings button. And with messaging, you have the ability to set up a scanner. And I have an Epson multifunction printer here at my home office that allows me to have that scan source already built in. And that will give me the ability to scan directly using the Epson scan software, and bring documents into it. So it's really cool to be able to do that. Now, also the audio conferencing bridge, of course, that is going to be available to any user that has Business Connect, because everybody has a Business Connect host access code. This is your 1,000-member audio conference bridge, and more importantly, there's a button in here, Join Before Host. You can actually turn this off. This is on by default. You can turn it off, and this will block the bridge from being used until the host actually logs in with the host code, as opposed to just logging in with a participant code. and using the bridge itself. And of course, you can invite with text and via email, and you can start that conference right from here as well. The video conferencing software is going to use Business Connect Meetings, and yes, it will open up the Meetings application, and it just pops up to be able to use. And I'm using Business Connect Meetings right now to do these recordings, so that's why it gives that little 3 buttons instead of 4. The function for composing SMS texts. SMS text is a unified function as well, so this will allow for these texts to be inbound and outbound and mirrored on your other devices that you may have. So if you have a smartphone, those messaging will follow suit inside there as well. So you can compose that new one, or you can use one that's already in existence that you've got and start a conversation from there. And that is the heads up. I will show you a little bit more of the settings to do with contacts. We've looked at the messaging. Now in contacts, here's something that's really, really slick to show customers. Now I'll just touch on contacts here at the top. You'll notice that I have a little funnel button here, and that funnel button allows me to turn on or turn off what contacts I want to see inside. Right now I've only got my Business Connect account turned on, but I can also turn on my Outlook Outlook accounts inside here. Okay, my personal accounts. So I'm just going to use Outlook for example, and that Outlook filter allows me to connect. And again, I'll open up that settings button, and under that settings button, under contacts, I have the ability to view Outlook with an Outlook plugin, and Outlook contacts, giving me the functionality to drill into a particular folder inside the PSD file and read that information directly, to allow me to pull that in, to have that, no need to download or input individual contacts. They're already there, and it reads it automatically from Outlook. The same thing holds true for using the Gmail integration. We'll show that in a different video, as well as the Office 365. Again, that's going to be a different video, but the contacts will read directly from that interface into the application that runs as WebRTC, or Web Real-Time Communications. And that is the bulk of what you're going to see. Once you get comfortable with looking at things like the settings, don't be afraid to go through here and take a look at what's available. You're certainly not going to hurt anything. You can turn things on like automatic launch at startup, for example. Adjust your language, adjust your sound settings, which is your audio that's connecting to the desktop application. You're going to get all of your USB devices, whatever they may be. I've got a Plantronics headset, so I'm going to use that for my microphone. Also use that for my speaker. And you can have a different a ringer device as well. Right now I've got mine turned off, just so the desktop doesn't blare at me when I have a test call come in. Also, we have Plantronics headset functionality. Because I use a Plantronics headset, that allows me to push the button on the side of the wireless headset and hang up calls or answer them, depending which direction the call's coming, of course. Also, under calls, we've got things like adjusting inbound and outbound call functions, like your inbound or general settings, for example, blocking numbers, that type of thing, how your HUD will track some of your information. Also, you have the ability to, this is a new function, by the way, with site names, has been added for incoming calls. When you have multi-site option turned on, you can actually have site names added to that inbound message. You can have your inbound audio settings and or inbound call settings, I should say, that will allow things like a third-party application or URL that will turn on and play or use the caller ID information. This is kind of the precursor to an API application like a CRM. Back when we called them CTI or TAPI, they did this sort of function. It was local to the machine only, so every individual user had to set it up for themselves. That's where this comes from, and it actually works quite well. You can play with it with a number of other things. Also, on the outgoing area, you can set this to ring out if you wish. You can make it dial a physical device like a handset that's beside you, or a cell phone, and complete the call as if it was using a third-party app. And also, the desktop application will not be active until you actually go into Voice Manager and activate the desktop application like a device. Your white glove representative can show you that as well. Controlling things like your messaging, your contacts, like I've said, your join now function, read your calendar from Outlook, so you'll see what your upcoming meetings are. There's a whole bunch of hotkeys that you can use for quick dials and things like that. And of course, a really cool support function where you can actually send technical feedback and get support from TELUS, basically built right in. And of course, it tells you what version you're running from the settings app. And that concludes the demonstration on how to demo the Business Connect desktop application. Please subscribe and hit your bell notification for notification of new video uploads. Thanks very much. Thanks for joining.